Hey, what's up guys and welcome back to Anime King. And today I'm going to be giving you part 22 of What If Naruto's Neglected by Everyone. Remember to get this one to 100 likes as usual, share this to all of your friends in your social media platform, and also go ahead and check out the brand new series, What If Naruto Was a Badass Genius, that I posted on this channel, and enjoy that guys. And I also post a new series over on Anime King 2, What If Naruto Was Banished from the Village and Gather All the Jinchurikis. So go ahead and check out that and enjoy as well. And later on I'm going to be posting a new episode of What If the Ten Tails Was Sealed Inside of Naruto. So stay in tune for that and I hope you guys enjoy. And remember, if you're new and this is the first time you hear my voice and you enjoy the videos on both Anime King and Anime King 2, go ahead and click that red subscribe button and become a part of the Anime King family. And thank you for all of your help and your support guys. And yeah, without further ado, let's get straight into this new episode. Start the intro.
I think the girls with their nails done now. Girls with their nails done. I think the girls with their
So, the last time we left off, Naruto went to visit Mei Terume, as he told her they already gather the 7 tails, so the 6th tail was the only one remaining, as he told her that if she doesn't give him the information now, the Akatsuki will tear through Kiri like nothing. As after thinking over it for the long time that Naruto gave her, she decided to tell him where the 6 tails would be transported on an island, as they were going to keep it safe. And today was the right night actually, so Naruto came in just in time as she gave him the information. The group of ninjas from Komo and Kiri were surprised when they were attacked by Akatsuki members and the 6th tail was captured, as Minato was beyond pissed. All of the cages were that were part of this, except for Mei Terume, as she was the one who handed over the information. As Minato couldn't believe it, Akatsuki had all of the tail beasts now. Naruto is the only one remaining, and that is if his son hasn't handed over his tail beast yet and died, as Minato was in a depressed state, not knowing if his son was dead or what. Meanwhile, Sasuke and his group were staying at the hideout with Naruto, as Sasuke had battled with his brother and he killed him, as Naruto took Itachi's body just to make sure when Sasuke is ready, he can gain the perfect eyes. The day finally come, as Obito introduced himself to the rest of the Akatsuki as Mother Uchiha and told them that he was the real leader behind the scenes, as the Akatsuki members were stunned. As Nagato was back to full health, his legs were now fine, he able to move around as he was practiced and using his power. It's been a long time since he moved around in this body, so you're free. As Madara told all of them that Naruto is planning on betraying them and that he will not hand over the 9th tail that reside in him, so they will take it by force. Naruto was then called to an open area by Zetsu. Naruto knew that it was a trap from Obito, but Naruto just go along with it because it was time that he get rid of the Akatsuki, as him and Menma went there. When they first arrived, Obito was the one to first to greet them. After a bit of talking, Naruto tell him that he has no intention of handing over the 9 tails, as Obito called them all out, as Deidara, Sasori, Hidan, Kakazu, and Kisame came out, along with Nagato, who descended down on them like a god, as he told Naruto he's gonna feel the wrath of a true god, as Naruto was kind of surprised that he had his legs up and running, but it looks like they're going all out just to defeat them, as Naruto asked Menma if he's ready, as Menma gave him a nod. So yeah guys, that was basically the last part we left off. You guys can switch across the place and check it out for yourself. Let's start this new episode. The sky was dark as Minato looked through his window. He didn't know why, but he felt like something dangerous is going on. Something that would shake this entire elemental world somewhere out there. Meanwhile, on the deadly battlefield, Naruto and Menma stood together, as the Akatsuki members stood aside from each other. they were on the opposite side, as Hidan clutched onto his sight, as the clouds were dark in the sky as thunder bellowed through the air. Lightning started to flash as drops of rain started to come down. Neither of them moved or said anything. Hidan, who had enough, smirked, as Hidan then charged forward without saying a word, as he brought his sight up to slice Naruto in pieces. "Hidan, you fool," Kakazu said, as it was too late, as Hidan was only focusing on Naruto when Menma appeared in his vision. Hidan saw Menma put his hand in front of his face, as Hidan's eyes went wide, as he knew about Menma's control of the elements. He couldn't even think, as Menma released a dose of flames that teared through the entire area. Every Akatsuki members, except for Nagato and Obito, who were on top of the cliff, had to jump away, as Konan was not there anymore, as Nagato had sent her to guard the Gedo statue just in case, as they should be enough to handle this. When the dust and the smoke cleared, the only thing that remained was Hidan's sight, as his body had been turned into ash. That started it, as the members thrust forward, as Deidara created a clay bird and jumped on top of it. He started to rain explosives down on the two, as the both of them jumped back. A hand break from the ground as he tried to grab on Naruto's leg. It was Kakazu's hand, as Naruto pulled one of his swords and sliced the hand off. As Naruto flipped back, the moment he did, Kisame was right behind him with Samurata, ready to drain away his chakra. Naruto flipped in mid-air, as he already finished going through hand sign. He released a dose of flame from his mouth, as Kisame raised Samurata and just cut right through the flames. Meanwhile, with Menma, he was dodging multiple poison needles from Sasori, as he then stomped his foot into the ground, as a huge section of the earth picked up, blocking all of the needles. He then pushed it towards Sasori, as Sasori jumped away in his puppet form. He then moved closer as he thrust his tail at Menma, as Menma dodged all of them, as the poison was leaking from it, as the tail then came close to Menma's chest, trying to tear right through him. But then a wall of wind appeared on his chest, deflecting the tail. Menma then opened his mouth as he released a stream of hot flames that teared through the ground, coming towards Sasori. As Sasori had to jump away, his cloak was cinched off though, as he opened his mouth and fired more needles at Menma. Meanwhile, Naruto was dodging strikes from Kisame, as he was dodging Kisame's large sword, as Kisame tried to drain out his chakra so they could subdue him rather quickly. On the top of the cliff, as Nagato and Madara stood there. It seems like they're having trouble with him, said Nagato. I should intervene soon and end this. No, said Madara. Let them wear him out. Once he's tired enough, we shall end him. What? Me of all person, I am a god. Naruto is nothing but a mere mortal. He cannot test the power that I wield in his body. Especially with these eyes of a god, he will bow down before my might. I am not saying that we should hide. I am just saying that let them wear him out first. Trust me, you're strong, but Naruto is strong. And he's hiding things that we don't know about. So for the time being, let's just watch. As Nagato scoffed, as he looked back to the fight. As they watched, Naruto went through hand sign and slammed his hand on the ground. A huge section of the ground rooted up as trees burst from the ground and wrapped around Deidara's bird until he had to jump off of it, as the vines were moving rather fast as they grabbed Deidara's leg. But at the same time, Kisame jumped up and sliced off the vines, as Deidara then opened his palm as the mouth spit out a spider. He then made a hand sign as the spider turned bigger as it descended to Naruto. Take this, he said, a smirk on his face. Guts! As it was a huge explosion where Naruto was. As Menma jumped back as he saw the explosion, but he turned back to Sasori as Sasori's tail was coming at him. As Menma raised his hand, as the earth under Sasori break apart and Sasori started to fall down, Menma quickly jumped over it as he then raised his hand as voltage of electricity run into his palm. He then fired off the stream that teared through the ground as it created a huge boom. destroying everything down there. But he saw a black thing jumped out. As it was a cloak. As the cloak was thrown off to reveal the red hair of Sasori in his puppet body, showing his real form. So that's your true form, huh? Said Menma. Huh, it sounds like you know about it, said Sasori. Well, I could tell from a long time back that you're just using a puppet. But it's strange. It feels like your entire body is made to be a puppet. I'm guessing that you're immortal having your body like this. Yes, that is one of the perks, said Sasori. I wonder why Orochimaru never thought about this, said Menma. Maybe it's because puppets are useless. What did you say? Asked Sasori, as he pulled out a scroll, as there's a poof, as he summoned the Kazekage puppet to use. Let me show you what puppets are capable of. As a huge sand wall, iron sand was created. As Menma just smirked, bring it, puppet. With the others, they all waited till the explosion cleared, as there was nothing there, no body, nothing at all, but a gaping hole in the ground. As they all looked around, trying to sense out Naruto, wondering where he is. The ground then break open as they all turned towards the source, thinking that it was him. As two masked figures appear on Kakazu's shoulder, as it was a fire and the wind mask. But to their surprise, it wasn't Naruto that broke from the ground. It was a strange red tree, a pollen. It then burst open as a gas was sprayed out of it that enveloped straight into the air. The gas quickly spread around as they had to hold their breath. Sasori didn't need to hold his breath as Menma used the wind around his face as he could control it on point to turn the gas away from him so the gas wouldn't affect him in one bit. As for Deidara, he found it very hard to breathe as he was holding his breath rather tight as he doesn't know what kind of gas is this. Suddenly, there was a huge gust of wind that blew away the pollen and the gas. It was from Kakazu, as they all looked around, as it was from the mask on his shoulder. But Naruto was still not there. Where is he? As they looked around trying to find him. Kakazu's eyes then went wide, as he turned his head up to see Naruto dropping from the sky like a bullet, and beside him was two clones. The clones dropped first, as they slammed their hand on the ground, as a purple barrier erupted and came around Kakazu, as a smirk appeared on the real Naruto's face as he had entered before the barrier fully formed. A trick I picked up from Orochimaru, Naruto said. You with your hearts, it's gonna be a real hindrance. And seeing that those two are over there, wait until the moment I get tired to attack me. I won't even bother to waste my time on using any heavily scaled attack on you guys. You're nothing but distractions, can't you see that? And in here, you won't be able to run from me, or let those creatures of yours escape. I've been watching all of you, and I gather intel on all of you. And now, Naruto said. Before Naruto could finish, Kakazu released a stream of water that teared through the ground. It was like a hose, but it was on point, as it was so sharp it ripped through the ground, threatening to tear Naruto in half. Naruto jumped up in the air as he fired off a stream of fire that hit the water as steam filled the air. As Kakazu looked around, as he started to pull the threads on his back, knowing that if the boy caught him in like this, he could be done for in one shot. But he was too late, as he heard something building. Some of the smoke started to clear away. As Naruto combined the Fox Chakra from what Minato teach him with the Rasengan. As he grew, as Naruto thrust it forward, there was a sickening boom. Yet the barrier never failed. The barrier held up strong, as the group would only watch. When all of the dust and the smoke cleared, the barrier collapsed. As Kakazu, the top half of his body was gone. Only thing remains was his legs, as the attacker tear right through him, destroying his upper half. As Naruto stepped out completely unharmed. And now we have two left, Naruto said. Two? As both Kisame and Deidara narrowed their eyes to the side to see the situation Sasori was in, as he had a cord coming from his stomach with a blade attached to it, as the blade just passed Menma. Menma's entire hand lit up in flames as Menma came down like a flaming bullet. He tear right through Sasori's chest as the man's body was ripped apart. As Menma makes sure to grab that fake heart of his and burn it to a crisp. As puppet parts were spread everywhere along with iron sand. As Menma jumped towards Naruto's side. As Menma quickly created two clones. The two clones rushed towards Kisame and towards Deidara. As Kisame brought out his Lord Samitness as he jumped back until he was in a puddle of water. Suddenly, he looked down as a clone quickly manifests over him and grabbed him in a hole. The clone then turned his body into lightning and started to electrocute Deidara as he winced out in pain. Meanwhile, Obito clenched his fist as he turned to see Naruto looking exactly at him. As Obito realized this is not going anywhere, how could they be so strong? As they were taking out S-rank criminals that they were nothing. They have truly trained to get stronger. He then looked over at Nagato. It seems like you will have to step in quicker than we thought. As Nagato looked forward, once I start this battle it will end, he said. Without a second thought, Naruto appeared right in front of Kisame as he buried his foot. He tried to bury it in Kisame's head, but Kisame brought up Samehata as Naruto hit the bandages. As the bandage tore off to reveal the real part of Samehata who digged on Naruto's flesh as it scraped him. As Naruto jumped back, the real Menma already went after Deidara as Deidara's body was electrocuted as he was unable to use any of his explosions. As Menma jumped forward as Deidara tried to fight him in hand-to-hand combat, but Deidara was no chance in that as he was rather weak when it comes to that. Deidara thrust his fist forward only for Menma to duck right under it as the clone then kicked away Deidara's leg as Deidara fall over. As Menma stomped his foot in the ground as earth spikes break from the ground and tear right through Deidara's limb, one through his arm and one through his leg and to his other arm and other leg. I guess this is it, said Menma. I was told to not hold any punches. I can't afford in you to go and blow up yourself and taking us with you. So die, as he pointed his hand towards his face as a stream of fire came from it and melted his face into a crisp. Nothing was remained. As his life as a smirk came on his face. As he raised his finger, only one left. Suddenly, he was enveloped by a thick dome of water. As Naruto was facing off against Kisame, as Kisame surrounded the entire area in water, as both Madara and Nagato got out of there. As Madara sucked himself in a swirling vortex and Nagato flew away with his gravity. As the both of them were in a spear of water, surrounded. As they noticed, Kisame was merging with Samehata as he turned into a shark. As he looked more like a shark even now. As Naruto and Menma were holding their breath. To their surprise, he was faster than they thought. As he sped past them with so much speed, he blew them away. Menma then looked at Naruto, as Menma gave Naruto a nod, as Naruto started to swim away, as Kisame started to follow behind him, but Menma came in Kisame's path. Do you really think you're faster than me in here? Said Kisame. I will end you, boy. You're not needed for the plan. You will die first. While all of this was going on, Naruto activated Susanoo as he burst from the water, as the wings of the Susanoo float him up as he fly right through it, as Kisame gritted his teeth. But he then suddenly felt the water getting hotter and hotter and hotter, as he looked over at Menma to see Menma's body start to turn red, until his entire body lit up in flames as the water started to boil, as Kisame was being pushed back by the intense heat. As Menma released a primal roar until the fire engulfed the water, burn marks all over his body as he separated with Samehata, as he was huffing and puffing. As Menma's body was still covered in flames, until his right hand became engulfed in lightning, as he slapped his two hands together, as it created a wave of pure flames and lightning that ricocheted off of him and blasted towards Kisame, as Kisame's eyes, his beady eyes went wide before he was blasted as his body was tumbling away. But he wasn't dead yet until Naruto descended upon him and drive the large sword of Susanoo right into him as the entire ground exploded as his body was split into half. And to make sure, Naruto said Amaterasu as the blade got engulfed with black flames, licking at his skin, disintegrating him. As Naruto deactivated Susanoo, as it faded. As he then went down, Menma came out of his fire form. As he was huffing and puffing, he wiped away the sweat from his forehead. As he came up to Naruto. I guess that attack took a lot out of you, said Naruto. Yeah, it did, Menma said, as he was still huffing and puffing. But at least we got rid of them all. Now it's only them left. As he looked to see the other two, as they were staring down at them, as a smirk came on Naruto's face. So what now? Is the god going to slaughter us? Naruto asks. As Nagato stepped forward without even looking at Madara. You have completely eradicated the S-rank ninjas. Even holding back, I must say I'm impressed. But you should know they were nowhere on my level, even with my paths. And now I've given the means, I have gotten back the means to use my power to the fullest. You, Uchiha Naruto, I will show you the grave mistake you have made on challenging a god. He then jumped forward. Before Naruto could do or say anything, he held out his hand. Almighty push! As both Naruto and Menma body was sent sailing away until they flipped in mid-air as their body was still being pushed. As they skipped off the ground till they eventually stopped. The both of them picked up themselves as they had bruises and cuts all over their body. As Naruto had a smirk on his face, although that, well, I must say, that's surprisingly fast and strong. I haven't really seen you use that power in action before. You were the only one I couldn't get any tabs on. But I have studied all the abilities of the Rinnegan. Menma, you sit this one out, said Naruto. What? Said Menma. Don't worry. Naruto gave him a reassured smile. I can handle this. Are you sure about this? Menma asked. Trust me, Naruto said. As Menma nodded, as Naruto was back on his feet, as he then ran forward, as Nagato did the same, as the both of them arrived in the center, as Nagato held out his hand, almighty push, but this time Naruto was ready, as his Susanoo ribcage activated and planted into the ground, as the blow could not move him from his position. The Susanoo hand was straight and tried to slam down on Nagato, but Nagato raised his hand. Almighty push, he said, as he blew it away like it was nothing. As Naruto then focused on him. Amaterasu, Naruto said, as black flames threatened to cover him up, but he blew it away, repel it from off of his body. I have told you, I am not one of those ninjas that you just defeated, boy. I am a god. Meanwhile, with Konan, she was busy as she was watching the Gedo statue, as she wondered how the fight was going. As she was then surprised as the entire ground broke apart, as three vines came up threatening to grab her, but she quickly created wings and fly away. As she looked down at the source to see Menma and Naruto, her eyes went wide. No, it can't be, she said. Is it already over? As they walked forward. Oh, it's not finished yet, Konan. We're just clones, Naruto said. As she then went back down to the ground. Nagato was right. You're here to get the statue, she said. Yes, Naruto said to her. As Menma then walked towards his side, as she kept a close eye on him. So, are you going to allow us to get it? Or are you going to stand in our way? Naruto asked. As Konan then looked at him with her impassive look. What do you expect? She asked. My leader gave me a command, and I will not let you or him, she said as she turned towards Menma, stop me from completing my goal. Well then, Naruto said, I guess we'll have to do this the hard way. Suddenly, earth spikes break from the ground as she had to turn her body into paper. As the papers then turned into shurikens, as they dashed towards Menma. Menma jumped up in the air as he used his wind, as he pushed past her, using the booming effect as he raced towards the statue. She then fired off paper blades, but suddenly a huge wood construct broke from the ground, as it was a hand made from wood, almost the same size as the Gedo statue hand, as it blocked all of the paper attacks, as it shrugged them off like it was nothing. As she noticed the clone of Naruto had his arms on the ground, as the wood arm then extended forward, threatening to grab her. As she floated back, her eyes then went wide when she noticed what Menma was doing, as he was lifting up the statue with his wind manipulation. She quickly created 2 paper spears as she dashed towards the wood clone of Naruto, intending on stopping him. But suddenly, wood vine broke from the ground and wrapped around her waist. She had to quickly turn her body into paper to get out of it, as the paper reformed behind Naruto. He spun around, already done performing hand sign. Wind style. Wind blizzard, he said, as a torrent of wind sprayed from his mouth that caught her and blew her body back. As she quickly burst in the paper and reformed again, as she tried to slice him down, as the wood arm kept on chasing after her, trying to smite her down, as the wood vines break from the ground and tried to capture her as well, as there was a lot of things that she had to escape, and not to mention, her eyes went wide as she noticed the statue was no longer there. As she started to curse in her mind, she asked to end this soon. He couldn't have gotten far yet. Meanwhile, with the real battle, Naruto had a smirk on his face, as all of his injuries that he's gotten so far has been healed completely by either Senju, the DNA that's inside of him, or the fox. As Nagato stood a distance away from him completely fine as well. I guess this is enough playing around, Naruto said, as he activated Susanoo. His Susanoo stood tall, as 2 wood clones then came from the ground right beside him, as both of them activate Susanoo as well. Nagato, today I will show you that you're no god. You're just a man with a misguided hope and dream, a stupid one that is, and you're being used and tricked. As Nagato narrowed his eyes at him, well, after I put you down, before you die, I want my words of reality to snap in your head, to make you know that on your dying bed, you realize that you've been used all of your life. You're nothing but a pawn in a bigger game. And I'll show you once I take you down. Foolish, arrogant boy, Nagato said. I told you this once before, and I will tell you again. I am a god. A god like myself cannot be used. So try to use your trickery, but it will not work. He then turned his hand into a cannon as he fired off a deadly beam that teared through the ground and rocketed towards Naruto. The 2 Susanoos got in front of Naruto as they blocked the beam, but the beam threatened to tear right through them. As Naruto's Susanoo took flight, it then created a spear of black fire and thrust it down towards Nagato. As Nagato jumped forward, almighty push, he said, as he blew it away. He then held out his hand. Universal pull, he said, as he pulled Naruto straight towards him, right in his giant Susanoo. As Naruto brought down the blade, but before he could, almighty push, Nagato said, as Susanoo was blasted away, but he took flight up in mid-air. As Naruto stood in the center, as he went through hand sign, fire style, scorching flame, he said, as he started raining down fire on Nagato. Nagato simply smirked. If this is all you have to offer, boy, you will not win today, he said, as he held out his hand, as he started to absorb all of the attack like they were nothing. After that was finished, he smirked. Summoning jutsu, he said, as he summoned a bird that started to release bombs as it flew above Naruto's Susanoo. As Naruto looked up, Amaterasu, as a wave of black flame teared through the air, going towards the bird, as it consumed the end of the bird and started to come up and burn and incinerate everything that it touched. As Naruto looked down, well, if that is all that you have, you cannot win either. We still need you alive for the extraction of the 9 tails. That is why I cannot kill you yet, boy. But that doesn't mean I can't make you suffer. Nagato then held out his hand towards Menma. Universal pull. As he pulled Menma towards him, Naruto saw that Naruto instantly created a rod of black flames as he tossed it down, as Nagato raised his hand and blew it away, as Menma was being pulled straight to Nagato. But Menma then smirked. You think I'm some sort of sideline casualty that you can use to bend Naruto to your will? Well then, you're wrong, Menma said, as his entire body lit up in flames again. As Nagato was about to repel him, but Menma slammed both of his hands together, like the Hulk would do, as he released a ripple that teared through the ground, as Nagato uses gravity and flew up into the air. But he met with Naruto, as Naruto brought down the sword. The sword slammed right down on him with great force, Naruto delivering the first blow on him, as his body was sent sailing into the ground, with a huge boom. As Obito was watching all of this, he was just waiting on the right opportunity for him to intervene. As he was just waiting for the right chance. All of them could die for he care. The only thing that he wanted was a ninth tail, and his dream, his goal, all of it would be completed. As Nagato pulled himself out of the ground, at the last moment there, he repelled the attack so it wouldn't hurt him that badly, as he used the gravity to knock some of it away, so he wasn't badly damaged. He looked up at Naruto. I have already told you, boy, you're nothing but a mere human. Below me, I am a god, and no human can defeat a god, he said, as he then pointed his arm towards the air. As Obito realized what he was doing, quickly disappearing in a swirling vortex, as Naruto created a wood clone that jumped down and stomped right in front of Menma. Almighty push, Nagato said, as this one was on a totally different level. It will be like the same level that he used to toot down Konoha, most of the force going up in the air and some of it hitting the ground as well. As the ripple effect teared through the air that slapped Naruto's body away, Naruto was still encased in the Susanoo as he was sent sailing. The wood clone took the full brunt of it as the Susanoo was stripped away, as all of the power that it had was blown off, as it still held it ground right in front of Menma, as it was blown back with Menma as the both of them were slammed into a rock nearby. As Naruto was in the ground, his Susanoo was still activated, mostly the ribcage. As Naruto Mangita Sharingan started to spin, it was then that time slowed down as everything remained still. In an instant, Naruto got up. He used his tremendous speed to get over to Nagato as he drew for his sword. He could have ended this battle in a long while back by using this ability. He hasn't used it, so it will be ready for him to use his time ability. His ability was rather strange. Either his body was moving at a rather fast pace or time has completely stopped. All he knew that it only used for 5 seconds, so the only explanation would be that he was able to control time. He could only do this 2 times a day for 5 seconds only, and then that was it. The next 24 hours he could do it again, but only 2 times per day. As Naruto wanted to test himself against the Rinnegan to see how he would match up. But if his friend is going to get harmed, it's best he just end this right here and now. But before Naruto could drive his sword forward, he snapped out of his ability as his eyes made him drop to his knees in pain. Nagato regained focus as he saw Naruto right in front of him. He was quite shocked. He quickly grabbed Naruto by the throat though and slammed Naruto's body into the ground with tremendous force, knocking him down. Naruto, said Menma, as Menma knew that Naruto used the ability. But what happened? If he did, this battle should have been over already. As Naruto's eyes were closed, as Nagato looked down at him. It seems you did have something hiding from us. I don't know how you just appear in front of me like that. But this is it, he said. He then created rods as he drive them through Naruto's arm, pinning Naruto down to the ground. As Menma jumped forward, almighty push, Nagato said, blowing back Menma, as Naruto's eyes were still closed. As Nagato looked down at him, with my body back to 100%, I can easily rip the 9 tails from you. We no longer need a ceremony or anything. It should be rather easy now, he said, as he tried to remove Naruto's shirt to look at his seal. But it was then Naruto started to chuckle, as Obito had appeared again, as Obito felt like something was wrong. Something was wrong when he stole Hoshirama's cell at the Valley of the End in their battle. But it took him years to unlock it. It was on his deathbed, when he was greatly old, when he couldn't have used it to its fullest. But it seems I'm something else. It seems I'm different. Hey Nagato, Naruto said. You should know, that man over there, he's not Madara Uchiha. He's Obito Uchiha. One of Madara's, you can call him lackey, yeah. Madara saved him when he was much younger, and brought him into his ranks. And he's been lying to you all this time. The only thing that he wants is to put this world under an infinite Tsukiyomi. A dream world where everyone can see their loved ones again. And why he's doing this is because he lost someone, a girl, when he was greatly younger. Her name was Ren. He lost her in battle. But the thing is, he's been fooling you all along, using the Akatsuki as his source to gather the tail beasts, so he can become and revive the 10th tail and become his Jinchuriki, to get enough power to cast this world under an infinite Tsukiyomi. As Nagato looked over, as Madara wasn't saying anything, could this really be true, he wondered. But you should know, I no longer desire that world. And what I don't want, I will not let happen. You think that living in a world of dreams, you won't feel the blood rushing through you. It will seem real and all, but it will be fake. It will just be a dream where everything you have is there. You should know that the real world is not like that. The real world is the real world. Dream world is just pure rubbish. And Obito, now, I will tear that plan of yours to pieces. As Naruto slowly opened his eyes, as Nagato went shocked. I've been having headaches and vision problem lately. I thought something was wrong because of me using my time ability. That is why I kept on holding back against using it until the time was right. But I realized I was transcending. My eyes were changing. I was evolving into what you call a god. Suddenly the rods were blasted out of Naruto and sent towards Nagato, who blasted them away. As Naruto got off his feet, a smirk on his face, as his Rinnegan was pulsating with power. As Naruto looked at his hand in a whole different light. This power running through me. I can see now why you refer to yourself as a god. But then Naruto deactivated them, confusing Nagato. The power too much, he said. Even though he was confused as hell and needed answers, he was confused why Naruto locked them off. No, it's not that, said Naruto, as he then turned to see that Menma was gone. As Obito saw it as well. What is he planning, he wondered. You know, no one has ever seen my perfect Susanoo. What you always see is just the second to last stage. I don't know, but my Sharingan grant me different stage of Susanoo. Usually you have the skeleton form, then the form with skin, and then the perfect Susanoo. But mine grants me a final form that is different. I don't know if it's because of the Fox Chakra that I use so much, as it fused with my Sharingan in some way. I don't know if it is or not. But no one has ever seen it before. I've only tried it and looked at it once. So that is why I needed Menma to get out of here. You think you could defeat me, gloating on about how you are a god. Let me show you. As suddenly, golden flames started to lit up Naruto's body. As the golden flames started to form a skeleton around him, it then started to grow, and grew and grew and grew and grew and grew. As Nagato eyes went wide along with Obito, as Obito stepped back in fear. What the hell, he said, as the both of them looked up at the monster above them. The thing had two horns protrude. Its skin under that was golden, pure gold. As the thing roared, shaking the entire place as it rocked the ninja world. At Konoha, Minato felt the ground started to shake. What the hell is that? As he looked through the window, as he felt the thing again, that made him sense that something bad was happening. But where? As he wondered if this has to do anything with Naruto. Back at the battlefield, Nagato looked up, even though he claimed to be a god. It's been a long time since he felt fear. He hadn't felt fear since that time Yaiko died. But now, as he looked up at the beast above him, this is only way to explain this thing. It was a beast. As it raised its foot and stepped. One step sent a shockwave that blew away Nagato. Just by moving. As the thing then reached down as Nagato noticed shackles on its side. 6 of them, 3 on each side. The thing pulled out 3 swords in its left hands and 3 in its right hands. The swords instantly lit up with a holy white flame as Naruto was in the center of all of it. As the thing made the ground tremble under power as Obito quickly disappeared in a swirling vortex as Nagato clenched his fist to see he was running. But Obito came back with Kabuto. As Kabuto looked up, what the hell, Kabuto said. Is that Naruto? As he couldn't believe it. We need him now, Obito said. As Kabuto, hands were shaking. Kabuto, now, Obito said. As Kabuto nodded, as he went through hand sign. Edo Tensei, he said. As a coffin came from the ground. As Naruto looked down. But guys, we end this episode right here. If you want to see the next part of this, I already know what to do. Like, subscribe, comment down below, and turn that bell notification to stay posted. Remember to share to all of your friends in your social media platform. But for now, I'm out of here, guys. Peace.